You know, I really hope that you've all enjoyed my content up to this point because I'm going to ruin everything today. Welcome back to the Yap Sesh. It's another episode where I'm going to talk about my thoughts about professional wrestling. Today, I'm going to give you my 7 hottest takes about WWE and just, you know, wrestling in general, sorta. You know, I know that we're on the internet, and that means that if you're a wrestling fan, you can't have an opinion. You know what I mean? And if it differs from anybody else, you're an idiot and you need to go to hell. But you know what? I'm gonna bite the bullet today, and I'm gonna give you my 7 opinions that I know are gonna be controversial. You might think that this is rage baiting. No, I believe in everything that I'm about to say to you, and I'm gonna try to give my reasoning as to why I feel the way that I feel about these specific things. Here are my 7 hottest takes about WWE, parentheses, sorry. All right, well, let's start off with number 1. And you know, there's been a lot of discourse about this for a long time, but I'm gonna give it my 2 cents. WrestleMania Night 1 main event is not a main event. I'm sorry, it's just not. And it's not for a lot of reasons. First of all, if it was the same as like Night 2, you would have, let's say, John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Why couldn't that just be the main event of Night 1? Oh, no, because it's Night 2. Night 2 was the main event. You know what I'm saying? You can buy whatever tickets you want for the Saturday show or the Sunday show. The main event of the Sunday show is going to be the most important thing. Now, I'm not, you know, questioning whether or not the Night 1 main event is the main event of Night 1, but is it the main event of WrestleMania? No. You know what I'm saying? WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 are grouped into the same WrestleMania. It's just a 24-hour intermission. We're not splitting it up into 2 different shows. It's a big, long intermission. I saw Harry Potter on Broadway. It was the 8th story that she made. It's the Cursed Child. And it's split up into 2 parts. You have to come back to see the second half of the show. And I saw the first half on one night, and I went back 24 hours later and saw the second half. I'm not sitting there at the final scene of the first night going, wow, this is one of the final scenes of this Harry Potter thing. No, this is just the halfway point. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doubting that, you know, the Night 1 main event's not important because they put important things on the main event for sure, but it's like you have to. You're not going to end Night 1 with, oh God, do I go there? New Day and Viking Raiders. You know what I mean? That's not, you can't do a halfway point with that. You got to have some big crescendo, and that's great. Night 1's main event is a great opportunity to do that, but it's not like, it's not the WrestleMania main event. If it was 2 different shows, sure, but it's WrestleMania. Let's take, for example, this year, WrestleMania 41. The main event of WrestleMania 41 was John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. It was not CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. As much as WWE's been trying to spoon feed you, fuck. I can't talk. As much as WWE's been trying to spoon feed you the idea that the Night 1 main event is a main event, you guys just that's you all. Oh yeah, WWE, yeah, but it's the main event. Yeah, why don't you fucking put your dick in my mouth next? No, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not. I'll give you another example. Drake. I know. Hold on. Bear with me. Let's talk about the Scorpion album real quick. Now, the Scorpion album, which is mostly on streaming, he does have a vinyl for it, sure, but it's split up into 2 discs. And disc 1, I believe the last track on disc 1 is There More, right? And then what is the last track on disc 2? Is it March 14th or something like that? Is There More? Let me ask you a question. Is There More one of the final songs on Scorpion? No. Well, why? It's the ending of disc 1. It's one of the last songs. How fucking stupid does that sound? It's the halfway point. It's an intermission, and that's okay. That's okay. It just means CM Punk hasn't main evented to WrestleMania yet. What can I say? Well, if you haven't clicked off the video already, let's go to number 2 because this is not going to be much better. I think War Games sucks, and I'm not a big fan of it. You know, it's not even just a matter of the storylines that go into it, because they spend about 6 to 7 months teasing and building like 2 separate teams of 5 to then face each other at War Games, and it's kind of like, ugh, because like you can, after WrestleMania, especially after SummerSlam, it's like you got to sit there for months being like, okay, this is where we're going. We're building up to War Games. It has no stakes. You know what I mean? Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber and Money in the Bank are big stipulations that mean something. War Games is just like a couple of random people fighting in a cage. You know what I mean? If there was something that you got out of it, like a title shot or anything like that, sure, I get it. It means nothing. It's a cool concept. Also, I don't like the match itself. And I feel like having it every year is kind of having diminishing returns with me liking it, because like there's only so many times I can sit there and watch like 30 minutes of a match that hasn't started. You know what I mean? Like before the bell rings, they do a whole bunch of stuff and it's always cool, but none of it actually matters until the last person gets into the ring, and then you get 10 to 15 minutes of a match. And maybe I'm being a little too harsh, you know what I mean? Because that's just, it's different. It's a different stipulation. It's just, you know, what they want to do every November, but I cannot get behind it. The teams are thrown together sometimes really randomly, in my opinion. I can't even remember any of the War Games teams. Oh yeah, what was the one with Cody and Seth and Jay and Sammy? It's like, all right, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, sure, we had to build up these. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. And it kind of goes into like, Triple H took away Hell in a Cell because, okay, well, Hell in a Cell should be a special stipulation. You got, you know, two people who are in this blood feud. Why are we, you know, only setting up Hell in a Cell matches in October? Oh, it's October. You know what that means? We have to have a Hell in a Cell match. It's kind of the same thing with War Games, especially considering it's not leading to anything. You don't really win anything except team pride coming out of it. Why do we have to have one every November? It's the exact same thing. This time it's just with 10 people instead of 2. Oh, well, it so happens to be 5-on-5. War Games. If it was like brand specific like it used to be, sure, like if we had a Raw versus SmackDown War Games match, that's something I could sort of get behind. But just randomly throwing together teams against the Judgment Day, you know what I mean, or the Bloodline, it's too repetitive. I'm not a big fan of it anymore. I think it should go away for at least a couple years. You still here? We still good? Everybody on board with me still? All right, that's fine if not, because let's go to number 3. Now listen, I've shown my displeasure for the presentation of Braun Breaker. I think he's impressive. I think his spear is probably the best spear I've ever seen. I don't doubt his athleticism, and I don't doubt that he's over with the crowd, right? Not personally a fan of him, but that's not what I'm about to say here. I just don't want you to think that my opinion of him is going to sway what I'm about to say with this, which is that Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker's team with Paul Heyman feels super forced, artificial, inorganic, and kind of boring. And they, you know what I mean? Paul Heyman was so synonymous with Roman Reigns over the last couple of years, and CM Punk, that I feel like when you had the triple threat match, I don't know what the original plan was supposed to be at WrestleMania 41. I'm pretty sure there was like a leaked match card that didn't actually have the triple threat on there. I could be mistaken about that. If I'm wrong, kid, maybe you can correct me on that one. But I think it was supposed to be certain singles matches, which makes me think that, okay, Paul Heyman was never supposed to turn on anybody. You had these 3 guys with nothing to do, and you put him in the main I almost said it. You put him in the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania, and you had to end it on a big note. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to send the Saturday crowd home or to their hotels somewhat happy. And Paul, being the focal point of that, it just seemed so weird. Why is CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins fighting over a manager who like kind of does nothing? I like Paul Heyman, obviously. I think he's a great talker and a great promo, but like, what is he really bringing to you that you need him on your side? So you bring all these guys together. You gotta, you know, have some big swerve at the end of WrestleMania. Bang, Paul Heyman turns on both of them. It was great for the moment, but I think that WWE prioritizes moments rather than making sense, because how did we get here? It's Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker with Paul Heyman. It just seems like odd. I don't know. And, you know, I don't know if the star power is super there. Paul really hasn't done anything for this team besides turn on Punk and Roman. He like talks on the mic sometimes. And that's okay. I mean, you know, he manipulated Jey Uso into giving Seth a title match on Raw. Cool. I don't know. I'm not into it, man. Like the presentation that Roman had when he had Paul Heyman with him, you know what I'm saying? Paul's a great mouthpiece. When Paul was with Brock, when Paul was with Roman, it was a little different with Punk because I think they both kind of handled the talking a lot. But you know, even still with them, it's Paul was just kind of there. He was just kind of there to be by his side. Paul Heyman's a good manager when he's like literally speaking for the certain wrestler. And granted, Roman Reigns did have his promos, most of the time, but Paul Heyman did a lot of the talking for Roman as well. So it's when you have Paul who's just standing there. We've built this whole team around Paul turning on Roman and Seth, and Paul's just kind of there. And Seth is, Braun Breaker specifically is just standing there. I'll never forget the promo that Paul Heyman had with him in the backstage area. Braun's like, wow, Seth Rollins as World Heavyweight Champion. That's crazy. And Paul's like, do you know what this means, Braun? And Braun's like, haha, yeah. And then Paul just spends like 5 minutes talking about why it's a good thing that Rollins is going after the World Heavyweight Championship. Like, I can't fucking put those pieces together myself. It just feels like we're trying to clutch at straws here for some stuff that we just kind of threw together at the last second. I could be wrong. I hope they turn it around. I do think that Seth Rollins is going to become the next World Heavyweight Champion. I just don't feel nothing for this team. And maybe that is a Braun Breaker thing for me. Because I feel like if somebody else is in that position, maybe I'd be a little more excited about seeing the team. Hope they add somebody else as well. But for now, it's going to be a no from me, dog. Wow, we are not even halfway through. This right here is about to be the halfway point. And I'm scared to say this one. I was scared to say all of them. But this one, get your pitchforks ready. Here we go. WrestleMania 17 is not the best WrestleMania of all time. Whoa, 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 whoa. I don't even think it's top 3. And listen, I think that when we talk about the greatest of all time, about anything, no one likes to look to the present because it happened so recently. You know what I mean? We go back and look at WrestleMania 17 because like that was 24 years ago. And I get it. It was a great WrestleMania. Don't get me wrong. Mania 17 is fantastic. But I think that we have been so stubborn to let go of the idea that Mania 17 is the greatest WrestleMania of all time. I think we've had better ones. And I get, maybe that's the thing you watched when you were a teenager or a kid, and that's the one that meant the most to you. But, that's a bias. You got to let that go. Oh, these new era fans, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I don't think you as a present fan know what you're talking about because you're so stuck in the past and so inexorable, you like that, huh? To change your thoughts about what the greatest WrestleMania of all time can be. You're not even looking at the ones that we've had, especially over the last couple of years. I'll give you 140. I don't know where I'd rank it on the actual overall list, but I think it's better than 17. I also think 39 is better than 17. 30. I don't even know why that took me so long. I even think 38 is a fantastic WrestleMania. We've been spoiled the last couple of years, except for 41. $2,500 seat I purchased for that one. All right. How much? Now, again, Austin Rock, fantastic. TLC 2, phenomenal. Even the Vince Shane match, I think, was historic. It's a great WrestleMania. I don't think it's the greatest of all time anymore. And, if that is your opinion, and you still think that Mania 17 is fantastic and it's the greatest of all time, more power to you. I can't get behind that. I can't sit here and be like, okay, well, we have to all agree Mania 17 is the best. I just don't believe that it is. Here's number 5 out of 7. We're not even at 7 yet. We're at 5. Now, I've been in the ring a couple times. I've taken a few bumps in my day, taken a few moves. I'm never going to be able to do anything that any of these wrestlers do. I don't take away from the athleticism of anybody that's in WWE. I don't take away any, maybe injuries that people have had over the years. I can't do even a crumb of what these wrestlers do. I'm going to preface that now. I know that. I'm self-aware, okay? But man, AJ Styles is a little washed. He's just a little bit. We've talked about it on the Vibe Guys podcast, just a tad. But I can't think of a classic AJ Styles match after the John Cena one with him at the Royal Rumble. Okay, that's not true. Shane McMahon. What the fuck? It's just like, I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily Styles' fault. I mean, he's a little older now, you know what I mean? People slow down when they get older. That's fine. I just feel like we've all been waiting for this AJ Styles banger to happen, and it never comes. The Shinsuke Nakamura match at WrestleMania 34, kind of a letdown. It was a good match, but it was built up as one of the best things you'll ever see. And maybe that's the company's fault for overhyping it, but it's also like, I would have had that hype anyway. The Orton match at 35. I'm trying to think of WrestleMania matches. Boneyard match was great. I don't know if that was really an in-ring masterpiece, but it was fun. You know what I mean? And his opponents haven't been great at Manias either. He teamed with Omos against the New Day. The Edge match, while that should have been good, I mean, they're both older, but Can you tell me one move from that match? Spear, maybe? I don't even know. The LA Knight match was cool, and then the Logan match was kind of also a letdown. It's just, I don't know, and then everything in between then, I can't even remember a match that he's had. The one with Daniel Bryan on SmackDown for the Intercontinental Championship. Okay, bang, how long ago was that? 5 years ago. I just think, he's older, and he's got his foot out the door somewhat, but man, I just feel like we all get really hyped and really excited for these bangers, and they just don't happen. The Cody matches were great. Let me not sit here and pretend like he hasn't had like really fun matches, but I know what AJ Styles can do. You know what I mean? I've seen what AJ Styles can do, and I feel like for the last couple of years, we haven't seen that, and I think it's just time to understand and come to terms with the fact that maybe it's just, the peak has peaked. Sorry. Sorry, Aaron. He's probably crying at home. Sorry. All right, this one's more of a fun one because I feel like I have a solid argument for this. Thank God for once. I think finishers are hot garbage. Like wrestling finishers, they're unnecessary. I think that they can go away forever. Now, let me just give you my reasoning for it. You are a wrestling crowd, right? Just pretend you're a wrestling crowd for a second. Let's say Corpus Christi, Texas, the worst wrestling crowd on earth. You sit on your hands because you're just waiting for a finisher to happen. That way you can actually get invested into a match. What kind of way is that to watch wrestling? You know what I mean? We've been so conditioned now to not really think that somebody's going to kick out unless a finisher is hit. John Cena versus Randy Orton is not going to end unless an RKO or an attitude adjustment gets hit. Granted, belt shot and a nut shot, sure. But for most of the time, it's been with an attitude adjustment or an RKO. Can you imagine if the match just ended off of like anything? You know what I mean? I don't want to see, a Gunther match that, well, no, actually Gunther's a perfect example. Gunther ends his matches in a zillion ways. You can get a splash off the top. You can get choked out. You can get hit with a power bomb. You can get hit with a bunch of shit. And it could just be, didn't they end a match with like a clothesline? Was it him versus Ciampa? It was a clothesline. That's awesome. I think that moves hurt no matter what they do. I feel like when it's a specific fit, it's the angle that this specific wrestler has it at, that way it hurts. I'm saying I've seen Javon Evans hit people with cutters and they kick out of two, but Randy Orton hits one and it's always a 3 count. It's the same move. You know what I mean? There's no explanation for it. A move should just be a move that puts somebody away, or could put somebody away, no matter what. It doesn't have to be your signature move. It doesn't have to be, the thing that you have in your arsenal, like that you're keeping locked in until we get 20 minutes later into the match. Just have any move end the match. I should be able to punch somebody in the face and maybe get a 3 count in wrestling. It makes wrestling more unpredictable that way. You know what I'm saying? Like I see a Blue Thunder Bomb. It's put people away like 5 times maybe, but no, it's the Haluva kick that we're looking out for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll give you another example. When does a 5-knuckle shuffle pull anybody away? Has he pinned anybody with a 5-knuckle shuffle? Maybe that's a bad example. But okay, just any regular move, right? Let's say like a Spanish fly off the top rope. That's an incredible move, right? 2 count, pretty much every single time. But it's when, the finisher happens, that's when you can actually get into the potential pinfall that could happen. Why should I not be invested in a Spanish fly off the top rope? That could end a match, but it never does. Why? Because a finisher has to happen. I think that that's lame. I think it's too predictable for all wrestling matches, and I think that if you could just end a match with literally anything, that would be beautiful. All right, here's the last one. And if you haven't hated me for the last 6, you probably have. I can already smell the comments from here. That's okay. Thanks for the engagement. This last one, I feel like, is probably not going to be agreed on with anybody. I think I'm the only person that might, share this sentiment. I think that current day NXT is better than Black and Gold NXT. And when I say that, I mean overall. Because NXT Black and Gold had amazing in-ring matches. There wasn't a single time you could watch a takeover and not look forward to a match that was happening on that show in terms of in-ring stuff. But when you watch the weekly shows back on Wednesdays, when they were on the WWE Network, it wasn't like great. You know what I mean? Like they had to build matches, they had an hour a week to build matches, and they filled a lot of that space with just like nothing a lot of the time. And it wasn't really a fun show to watch. You were just looking forward to the takeovers. The takeovers were always banging. And I feel like the thing with Triple H's booking is that he doesn't take risks enough. We're starting to see that on the main roster. You see championships, world championships, only being changed at WrestleMania or SummerSlam. That's not fun. You know what I mean? You got to take risks. You got to throw curveballs every now and again. I hate to give Vince McMahon credit. That's something he did. I think that while a lot of his booking was fucking horseshit, he took risks and, you know, he threw curveballs at you a lot. You couldn't really go into any match knowing exactly what was going to happen because anything could happen because he's fucking insane. And while Triple H's booking is good, I think the storylines that we've gotten have been really, really fun the last couple of years. A lot of it's been predictable. And while predictable is not always a bad thing, it happens a lot. And when you get a lot of predictability, it starts to get, okay, why even bother watching? I know exactly what's going to happen in this storyline. And you saw a lot of that in the NXT stuff, going week to week. But the matches were always good, so it made up for it. This version of NXT takes risks. They just made Miles Bourne the #1 contender for the NXT Championship. They're trying to build new stars on there randomly too, like young up-and-comers. I mean, it's a developmental program at the end of the day. They should be, taking chances on certain people and seeing what happens. They're taking risks. You have championship changes happen on NXT. You have to tune into every single championship match because you don't know when they're going to lose it. When the hell was Fraxon going to lose it? You thought Hank and Tank was beating Fraxon for the tag team title? You can kiss my ass if you said you were expecting that. Hell no. It's a new thing. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. You got to just watch and find out. And I think that's fun about professional wrestling. Not knowing what's going to happen. Everybody prides themselves, even myself nowadays, prides themselves on knowing exactly what's going to happen. But it's like, that's not fun. I sat there at Elimination Chamber. I was like, oh my God. Like, as soon as Cena won, you can go back to Brandon's vlog. Kid, please pull up a clip of it. I'm going, oh my God, dude, Cena's turning heel. I shouldn't have thought that. You know what I mean? And maybe that's just me from watching wrestling for too long. I know what's going to happen, but like, I feel like there's other ways you can do it where it would be very unpredictable. I don't like feeling like I know what's happening. And I can't help what goes on in this brain. All right, well, you want me to try to gaslight myself into feeling like I don't know what's going on? I have the intuition. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? People are like, oh, I wish I wasn't as much of a mark and I could just enjoy wrestling. I'd like to enjoy wrestling as well. You can't help but feel like you know where somewhere's going. It's not my fault that you fantasy book, John Cena losing the title to The Miz. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? You got to be a little realistic. And maybe I'm in the minority there. I'm not sure. But yeah, let me know what you think about everything that I've said about all these things. I hope I didn't, completely just stumble over everything I was saying. But let me know in the comments. I'm open to a dialogue. It's the whole point of this whole thing. Thank God I'm not doing this video on Twitter. We'll see you next time, everybody. Peace out.